We're taking calls at 617-830-4750. We're going to go next to our caller from the 516 area code. Who's calling today from 516?
Hi, David. This is me, James.
Yeah, what's going on, James? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Long Island.
Oh, great. What's going on?
So in my time being involved with politics, I've kind of flip-flopped from leftist to conservative.
Wow.
And now I think I've finally found my spot as a social democrat, very much in line with your own views.
Wow. So wait, let me find out about that. When you were left before you were right, before you were a social democrat, how left were you?
I was kind of apolitical, but my family was all very democratic, so I kind of just stuck with them. Really the one issue for me that kind of stuck with me was gay rights, because I have family members who are gay, and just to see one side be very much in favor with gay marriage, that's what kind of, I was like, if that's the side that's going to treat them like human beings, that's the side I want to be on.
Right. And then what made you become conservative in that middle period?
So after the 2016 election, I thought, I have to really see if I can figure out that I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about things. And I went down the YouTube rabbit hole. I started listening to people like Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder.
Wow.
And I thought their arguments kind of clicked with me. But over time, they kind of fell flat when I started to look at other viewpoints. And then I found your channel. I found other liberal outlets. And again, I found my spot as a social democrat, I think.
Wow. So what you're saying is that you, in your apolitical sort of left-leaning household, you were sort of left-leaning by default. You then got sucked into a right-wing YouTube echo chamber, including Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder, which pulled you to the right. But then at some point after that, channels like mine and others were able to deprogram you from the right-wing indoctrination.
Yes, to the point where yesterday I actually became a member of the David Pakman show.
Wow. So, wow. This is an incredibly, completely not staged and planned phone call.
Yeah, no, I'm completely sincere. But so the reason I called is that the one thing that's kind of stuck with me from conservatism is the Second Amendment and gun control.
Okay.
I want it to be harder for irresponsible and mentally ill people to get guns through whatever means, whether it be background checks or training or a gun registry or something like that.
Good.
But the one issue that I haven't heard a good rebuttal to or a debunking of is the whole domestic tyranny argument.
Right.
Where an armed populace is the only thing that can fully prevent a tyrant from taking control. And I was just wondering if you could give me your thoughts on that argument, if you disagree with it.
Yeah, I do disagree with it. I mean, listen, at its face, if everybody, unless you're making the argument, which even Ben Shapiro, go check out when I debated Ben Shapiro about this on my channel. Unless
I did.
You're
That's
making,
actually what made me think about it.
Unless you're making the argument that just regular citizens should have access to all of the same firepower that the military and the government and the Department of Defense have, individuals with the firearms that are allowed to be purchased are not going to be able to prevent the government tyranny that they claim to be afraid of. I just don't actually believe that that's a sincere argument that most of them are making. Some of them are sincerely making that argument. When Ben Shapiro made it, I don't think that's really his argument in favor of guns. I think he's post facto coming up with that.
Okay, so the way that my conservative friends will rebut that when I say that is that they'll say, at least we have a fighting chance, like in the same way that during the American Revolution, we were coming against the greatest army in the world, but we had firepower, we could fight against them. If people are completely unarmed, they have no shot against a government that wants to come in and completely just take over.
No, listen, I mean, so a lot of times they will cite the Jews being disarmed in Nazi Germany, and it's one of the most widely debunked example. Here's what I would suggest instead. If we all were to come together and say, hey, you know what? The real best way to prevent government tyranny, because listen, in Sweden, nobody's talking about government. Nobody's afraid of government tyranny and demanding that everybody have firearms to protect themselves. In Norway, you don't hear about all of these pro-gun arguments to protect themselves from the Norwegian government becoming tyrannical. The threat of the American government becoming tyrannical comes from the reality that we have allowed the Republican Party to suppress votes via all of the voter suppression tactics that they've put in place, which is extraordinarily authoritarian. And the authoritarian tendencies of the right have allowed more and more authoritarian leaders to be put in power, like Donald Trump. The way to prevent even the threat of that type of tyranny that they claim they could hold off with rifles and AR-15s and handguns or whatever, is to stop allowing the authoritarian tendencies that we've seen to be rewarded with electoral victories. And they're not willing to do that. In fact, they're voting for a lot of those people.
Mm-hmm. All right, David. I mean, I really appreciate the work that you do, and I'm happy to become a member just this week.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking my call.
Really appreciate it. Hope to hear from you again. Great to hear from James from Long Island. If you're holding, don't hang up, because we're taking a quick break, and then I'll be right back with a few more phone calls right after. So if you're holding, please don't hang up.